Susanne Deppermann, and the show is Diesel Dog. And I have a guest that I met at a nice birthday bash at Paula Gloria, further down the rabbit hole's birthday central. Anyways, DMT, how are you this evening?
Hi, how are you?
Pretty good. Let's talk about your full name and your education.
First, talk about your name. I like the name Susanne Dep.
Well, thank you.
Dep means beautiful in Vietnamese.
Well, I'm very honored to have that compliment from Vietnamese.
You're welcome.
People.
So, you want to know about my name? My name is DMT, standing for Dr. Mạc Trường. And D also in French, it means from. MT, that means there's nothing. So I like it, the meaning of from nothing. And what come out from nothing first? That's what I asked you.
Something. From nothing comes something every damn time.
And that first something, what is that?
It's God.
Uh-huh.
What else could it be?
All right.
Anyways, I have looked at your website briefly, but I've noticed that you've written how many books? Is that 5?
I don't count them.
Maybe more.
I realize that I write more than a person, at least one person can read, even those fast reader.
And you write them in 3 different languages, Vietnamese,
yes, because
French,
one that is most important in absolute relativity, 4,000 pages. I did not really have time to edit it again, but
really?
I planned that
I wrote a
when
book
we are
also,
known,
and I didn't really have time to edit it either.
When we are known,
again.
Oh, I saw your book. Your book would be like a few pages of my book, because you see the little characters in all my books.
Yeah, but if I put it in 3 languages, it might be as fat as your book. I could add some filler.
It would be also very long.
Pictures.
So you want to show your book to the audience?
Okay, well,
okay.
Yeah.
Why not?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Paula Gloria, can you hold that book up? I just happen to have it on me because it's Paula Gloria's birthday present. And there it is. It's called The Marine. And my website is www.themarinebook.com.
So, let me ask you a few questions about your book.
And the audio book.
Can I ask you a few questions about your book?
Yes, you can.
Okay. First, why is The Marine?
The Marine, it's a romance about, well, I don't want to talk about my book. I'm here to talk about you and your books.
Okay,
You're my distinguished doctorate guest with multi-huge education, first educated in France, and been living in New York City, as we all have been, for decades. So let's start out with, you're a lawyer.
Yes. And
what other degrees do you have that equate to a profession? I know you have like 4 PhDs.
For law, I have up to JSD, that means Juridical Science Doctorate. That means the level where you can teach lawyers.
Oh, that's great. High five. Low five. Yeah, that's good. Let's teach lawyers that it's okay for the audience to bring a camera in the courtroom.
And it's for the camera's sake. Actually, I am so good a lawyer that in 1993, 12 senators, including Senator Patrick Moynihan, who is dead now, and Senator Joe Biden.
We
Jr.
love Joe Biden. Amen to Joe Biden and all the guys.
They recommended me to President Clinton to be nominated as the Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court.
Really? Wow.
Yes, there's all the letters in my offices. You can take a look.
I think I saw a picture of you and Mayor Dinkins. And
yes. Oh, by the time when I was president of the Vietnamese community in this area, in the whole New York, Connecticut, New Jersey.
Oh, I like the way you say Connecticut.
Why? What's wrong with Connecticut?
Well, nothing. I hear it's a very wholesome state that Joe Biden comes from.
Oh, yeah, okay. He's from Connecticut?
Well, I think he is.
Delaware, I think.
Connecticut.
Okay.
Connect the dots. Anyways, I like the way you say that. Now, moving right along. You have a couple, well, we're not really done with your education, but that's okay.
For sure you don't. No, it's far away from being it.
We could talk about my education.
Okay, yours.
I don't have such a grand education such as you. So let's skip the community college and move on to the home inspector and the personal training certificate.
Wow.
But if I had to do it over again, I think I would be more of a medical person, because in the end, when you're falling apart, you kind of think, well, what good is knowing all that other stuff? Maybe I better know how to take care of me and how the body works. But
so you want to take up the hardware?
Yeah, that's right. Let's talk about the hardware and the software. This is the hardware, and the software is the program or the operating system that I relate to other people in my environment. So if I have a bad mouth and I'm saying and bad words, that's not a very good operating system, is it?
That's correct, yes.
Wow.
That would be violation of one of the commandments. And
that's right. Let's get back to the 10 Commandments. We need to start teaching the children some basic things that might help them from getting into trouble.
If you want to learn about the 10 Commandments. They're not learning it in the church,
so they got to learn it somewhere, right? Huh?
I would teach you
about...
about...
Oh, you're still here. Sorry. Okay, go ahead, talk.
Oh, you want to teach them? That's what you want to talk about 10 Commandments by yourself, or I want to show you something about the 10 Commandments?
Okay.
That is a product of God 1.0.
Yes, God 1.0 would be Moses when...
Yes, let me explain to you why the 10 Commandments come about.
Yes.
And why such commandments, such as like, thou shalt not kill, is important. You want to know why?
Because you don't want to have turkey for Thanksgiving?
Does it?
You don't want to kill the turkey? What?
My question to you is, does that commandment come really from God or from another source?
Wow. I think that, I'll tell you, the first time you kill something, it really doesn't feel that great.
Actually, the 10 Commandments with the thou shalt not kill come from the instinct of the human beings, not from any God.
Yeah, it was
For example, let me explain it to you.
Yes.
When you say thou shalt not kill, that means you tell another person not to kill. And who are you as compared to the person to whom you give the commandment? You are another person. So when you say thou shalt not kill another guy like me, you turn out to say a very simple thing. Don't kill me.
Thank you. That's very good. So far, so
good. And assuming now we are making, let's say, a TV show, and some guy come in here and try to shoot us, and I'm saying, don't shoot. That means don't kill me. Do I need God to say that for me? No. That's really coming out from my instinct of preservation of myself. So it comes to like, thou shalt not commit adultery. What do you mean by that? And why people like that?
Well,
what does that mean with my same reasoning here? To see if you are thinking
well, yeah, they don't want you to mess around with their daughters. I mean, come on, or their wife. But
that's correct. It's when you say thou shalt not commit adultery, it just means don't sleep with my wife. You don't need any God for that. When even say thou shalt not lie to, let's say, thy parents.
It's about time you started taking over the show. Now I can just sit back and relax. Wake me up when it's over.
Okay, it means this. It means don't lie to me. Who want to be lied to? Nobody.
I like this.
So when you go by the 10 Commandments, it comes to all the basic. Even the first one, thou shalt respect God. You know what it means? Thou shalt listen to me and respect me. And now, what comes from that when it comes to God 2.0 system with Jesus? What did Jesus do differently?
He changed the 10 Commandments, and they didn't like that very much.
He did not change the 10 Commandments.
He made it more,
for example,
he made
adultery
it more friendly so you don't get killed.
What he did
by
is...
disobeying the 10 Commandments.
What he did, Jesus, was to moderate the enforcement of the law. What he did is make the punishment of the violation of the same law more lenient. That's all what he did. For example, if you committed adultery, it's still wrong. However, you won't be stoned to death anymore. See? For example, at the old time, when a child may be insulting to the parents, they can be killed. You know that, in the old time. But now, the parent would be in trouble first if you want just to touch a child who just cursed you out. So that's evolution, so that they change. So it's not right also to lie, to cheat, or to kill. However, the enforcement of the law is relativized, make it more lenient, so that those girls who come out and commit a lot of adultery, they don't get killed like right now in Arab country. No, it's too bad. But then they don't get killed.
Coming off very well. You know, this is a very interesting subject. Let's talk about the subject like Vietnamese and some of the Japanese and Chinese people. They come over to the United States, and I notice they're very polite, as well as the Canadians.
And I'm surprised that I'm not polite?
You're very polite. You're extremely polite. And that's because that they were raised with some, like, not the Ten Commandments, but the law of the land raised the kids right.
That's with manners, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, who was the smarty who started with the Ten Commandments? Who was the nice guy, Moses, who gave the world the Ten Commandments as a starting point on how to act? That was a nice guy, and they were simple, and they were thou shalt not, and we all like them. They have a ring to them. Where's the guy today going to give us an operating system that's simple and concise and only has 10 things to remember, which we can't even remember 4?
You see now?
So make it 4 things.
Susanne Deppermann, she looked beautiful, and you may think that she is superficial, but by what she just said, she's very deep. It's very good what you just said. And actually you asked the right person the question, who gave or where did Moses get the Ten Commandments? You know, I can give you the answer. He get it by chopping up the 42 rules of ethics of the Egyptian law. Yeah, he had 42 of them. And that lasted for something like 3,000 years. At the time of Moses, the guy had to lead a lot of slaves to run in the desert. And I say, yeah, forget about the 42 rules, and there's rules that is complicated and that has not too much meaning. You see what I mean?
Yes.
To go to the next slide, thing like that.
Okay.
So he chopped it down to only 10.
All right.
That makes the most sense.
So there used to be 24 and they were Egyptian?
42.
There were 42, and
Yes.
what people did they come from?
Egypt.
Oh, really?
Egyptian, for those guys who run the Pharaoh.
I have a replica of
and now
Thomas
he
in
makes
my
sense.
apartment. I'll
so
show you
he go to the most basic stuff. Because in the other 42, I forget that too, but it may show how you have to behave yourself and how much thing you have to do this and that. And then he nailed down to only 10, that's the most basic. And the most basic one are the 3 first one, like thou shalt respect your God, and thou shalt not take the name of God in vain. I like it.
George Carlin took the 10 Commandments and rolled them into, I guess, 4, maybe 5. He said that some of them were redundant. You know how funny George Carlin is.
So,
have anything else
what's
to talk
your
about? We still have like 15
I know
minutes.
it down. I know it down, and that's how the program.
So go. You finish up. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So, what's that? No.
Nothing.
You like to laugh. That's good. You worry about how fast it goes. Don't think about time, and it would go so fast. Just like the guy who and Posa did it.
All right. Posa did a great job.
Mm-hmm. And apparently we have a lot more to think. So, what I try to say is, when you go with, let's say, the system of the new person who is going to give a new software, that's you come to God 3.0 after you got Jesus with God 2.0. And the main point of God 2.0 is what? Is He teach love and forgiveness. Love and forgiveness are not the new 11 commandments. Why is that? So you think about it, time would fly by. Or anybody, when I do it live, from the audience, they can call.
About that.
Huh? Why?
You keep going.
So, when Jesus, He doesn't make a new commandment. That's how He say that for the 10 commandments, you still keep them. No difference. You still cannot lie. You still cannot commit adultery. You still cannot kill. But then, He make sure that you can, let's say, love and forgiveness is just the enforcement, so that the punishment won't be so harsh. You see? So one of the story I like the most is this, about Jesus. Because I don't want to talk about God 3.0, that's me. It's boring. Right? Or you want to talk about God 3.0, I will talk about that later. But I would tell you one thing that is amusing.
3.0 is modern man.
Yes.
And we're in God's image, so we're God.
Right.
So suck it up and get used to it.
What?
Talking to the audience. Quit asking me questions.
So one of the things I like the most to talk about God 2.0 is this. One day Jesus was in the crowd and he was teaching about adultery, because there are those guys who think that,
I really don't want to talk about that subject. You got a better one?
You are scared that the audience would be scared away with the things
okay, go
because
ahead.
they are not too real.
Finish the
religious.
Story. Yeah, that was a great story.
Yeah, yes, it's good. Unless you have something else to say, that's your show.
Yeah.
What?
I don't know. Let's talk about after we die, where might we go besides a traditional cemetery? Might there be a better way?
Oh, now you asked a good question too. That's one of my invention. That's called life after death. And what creates the whole forest of life, so that the person would live again. For example, you know that right now, when a person dies, what do you do to be exciting with the dead body? Nothing, of course, right?
Yeah, it's a very expensive endeavor, and basically when people are grieving and they're getting older, where would they even start? To me, when you're broke, what do you do?
So right now, I have an invention that is a true miracle. Imagine a princess, a very nice person, driving, let's say, on a hillside, okay?
So a big field or a big mountain.
On a hillside. And suddenly there's a storm, she's stricken, and she's burned into ashes. And there's gasoline falling in there. And suddenly, out of that hole, there's a fire. And she's consumed, she becomes ashes. And in front of us, there is growing a new magnificent tree on the hillside.
So
replacing is the embodiment of that person. That's a miracle. So I would ask you, what would you, do you like that kind of tree, or the family of the person, of the dead person?
Now tell me,
would
how would
like
they,
the tree?
That's a great story to tell the relatives. Instead of, so the body gets into ashes, through a great story of lightning, and then they're sprinkled on the hillside, and then we planted a tree, and then it grows, so the tree of life is forever, circle of life.
So that tree is a treasure for the family.
So when people go to visit their national forest, they're actually visiting their relatives.
So the idea is we can... What's that?
I'm sorry.
The idea is you can create that miracle. Instead of waiting for the miracle to happen, we can have a controlled miracle by creating the tree of life. And that's one of my patents of invention.
Oh, that's a great patent. I like the concept.
That was praised by the New York Times.
That's right. I did see that.
What's that now?
Fortunately, I couldn't read it because it was third and fourth generation.
Right. Third and fourth
it was
generation.
On a website, and I tried to read the words. Usually I can read anything, even when it's blurry, but I think it was too blurry to read. But I would love to see that article, and I'd love to read it to you. And it actually talked about, I remember now, you had... God, I'm laughing at myself because this is the first time I've ever interviewed somebody, and sometimes I hear one of the sound technicians giggle, and that kind of gets me going. Okay, so what happened was you filed your patent, and then the New York Times picked it up not more than 30 days later and printed an article that said it's about time somebody comes up with a new idea.
Yes.
Did you orchestrate?
They say literally the new way of invention.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not only it's
Something-
an invention is new, but it's a new method of reasoning and of, let's say, inventing something new. And nothing short of life was invented after death. Have you ever seen anybody who created life after death?
That's right.
Except
We're going to
God?
create. You're going to create life after death, and we're going to start with that note.
Yes.
Hello, Diesel Dog Central. How can I help you? This is the name of the show, Diesel Dog. My dog, he's late. He stood us up, but I'm sure he'll be here for the next show. Okay, we're going to start with the pet cemetery. Now, would you like your pet to be, and maybe even at Woodstock? I'm sure we could talk that farmer into letting us. I buried my bird up there. He was a blue-winged macaw. And maybe I should plant a cherry tree where he is. I mean, cherry trees are amazing. Cherry trees, they're really hardy. Those big cherries, the cherry tree grows straight up, and they're so fruitful. It's amazing how one tree can have so much fruit. Just a great idea. I mean, and think of the jobs it'll create. The jobs you talked about. For all the horticulturists out there.
Susan is trying to explain the idea of a broader developments of the tree of life. The tree of life would become, let's say, one tree, but when we have many family, the whole city, and they, instead of the cemetery, we would have beautiful botanic garden.
That's
and
right.
when you can go there, you can visit, and there's no death, no nothing. Just the beautiful trees and many different trees together. And so when you go and visit the cemetery of your family, you actually see the roots of your family staying there. So that is a big job, creating a lot of job for America, especially at this time. President Obama, he had to love that idea because that idea will create a lot of job, converting all the cemetery into botanic gardens. So instead of a crowded city where you have cemetery where nobody goes anymore, you have beautiful botanic gardens.
That you can walk through.
Yes, of course you can walk through, and you can hug the tree. You talk to the tree. It makes more sense than talking to
right. Amen.
a stone. See, and you can even get the flowers from the tree and go home with. See,
Your relative ever said you could talk to a brick. Well, like you just said, you won't have to talk to a stone.
But you speak to a tree, right? Now
we've only have. Well, anyways, the time couldn't go by fast enough.
Now you make me laugh.
Thank goodness I have the best guest ever. You don't understand. DMT, what a pleasure it is to have a self-starter that can really roll with the punches and get the job done. If I was smart, I could have just leaned back and he would have done the whole show, and that would have been my first show, and I would have got on my way. You know,
now you talk about another way. Yes, when you stop talking, you can let me do talking. I can do 2 hours in different languages. You want me to read a poem in Vietnamese?
Yes. I would like you to say something in French. Say your website.
Qu'est-ce qu'il y a de si rigolo à ça? Vous voulez que je parle en français pour les gens qui ne peuvent pas comprendre le français? Mais oui, c'est une bonne idée. Il faut me donner d'abord un boubou.
And say it in Vietnamese.
In Vietnamese, kính chào toàn thể quý vị Việt Nam. Hôm nay đó là chúng tôi đang nói chuyện bằng tiếng Anh với cô người này đẹp, gọi là Susanne đẹp. Cô ấy rất là đẹp và cô ấy là đầu tiên mà làm cái show này ngày hôm nay. Thành ra cô ấy hay bối rối và cô ấy cũng không có biết nói nhiều chuyện gì.
Now say it in English. Your website.
My website, you can go and take a look more on dmttechnology.info. And you get a lot more information
Please spell
about
the whole
DMT.
thing out, every letter.
D like David, or rather like Doctor. M like Mary, but rather Mark. That's my name. T like Truong. Technology, technology.info. Not .com. .com you won't get it. .info. You have to write the whole thing in one word correctly, and you would get to my website.
And my website is www.themarinebook.com.
No, you cannot sell it on public access.
Don't even say that word. Okay, so anyways, is there any closing arguments or anything you're interested in? What's going on now? Some current events in the city that you're interested in?
Oh, too many things right now. What is the most important thing in the world right now is the financial crisis and the collapses of a lot of business, banks, and even cars makers, manufacturers, and that's due to the fact that they do not follow the teaching, the new teaching of God 3.0 based on RPR and AR. That means reliability, productivity, and respectability of people's life, property, and freedom. So let me show you the first reason why the whole world right now is collapsing. Because there's no more trust between people. Because people are not reliable. When I deal with banks recently and big company like telephones or cable TVs, things like that. When I just first come to America about like 35 years ago, those companies are very respectable. They would never cheat you. But right now, as everybody knows, these companies, they cheat you every second of the way. They would charge you fees. That's nonsense.
Yes.
And you had to call them and fight with them every time. If the bank also do the same thing. Let's take example of those cable TVs. They would say, okay, flat fee, $127 a month, which is high enough. But then after that, when they send you the bill, oh, how about this, how about that? And the phone, the other day, I get the company, they call me and say, oh, okay, you have to pay for the connection. I say, what? You had the telephone. The main thing is connect and talk. What else? So I say, oh, you have to pay for the time and the connection fee. And I talked about, and that we don't agree on, and we have to tell them, and I told them a lot. After that, they take out from the bill. But what I say there
Wrap
is
it up,
not,
babe.
Yes. What I say there is common to everybody. And that's how the whole system collapsed. There's no more trust.
Yeah, you have
People
to start with trust yourself. Keep your own word to yourself. And that's where it starts. And then we'll worry about everybody else.
Thank you very much. She's well said.
Thank you.
Sign off.
This has been Diesel Dog, signing off. Diesel will be here next episode.
Great. I'll be there.